Hey, real quick, I'm in a traveling mode this morning, and I normally have my Quant Tower up. Uh, I'm just working a little bit of trade action. Just kind of want to go over today some of the levels, some of the action we had. We did have a level I was kind of paying attention to from prior. We took out that level that was right here. So let me just kind of draw this in. Just want to go over a little of the trade action and some of the mindsets and the ways I use the tools. I'm getting very, very close to where a couple times a week I will be live streaming trading live with the dual bands. I'll probably have it be a one-way street as far as the chat goes. Uh, I don't want to be sitting there entertaining questions and comments when I'm right in the middle of trade action, because not only am I working this, but I'm working FX automated stuff like all the time too. So I'm kind of like multitasking. It's kind of like a guy running around spinning 5 plates on sticks with all the various accounts that I'm trading and overwatching and all the trade copying out to prop accounts I got to keep an eye on. So in the beginning, I'll probably, you know, two, maybe some weeks, 3 times a week, trade live only with the dual bands, be all dual bands trading. I'll make comments and all that, but I'm not really going to be engaging to people. I can't get sucked into that. I just don't have time for that. It's a major distraction for me. If I was just trading on like one platform, talking out to my accounts, I'd have no problem. But I'm watching one, two, three boxes, my laptop, and then watching stuff on server windows that's related to FX automated. So it's like I'm sitting there, overwatching a lot, but I'm still willing to start showing how I'm using the bands live. I'm going to go over a little bit of it here today. Um, we just made a significant and major update to the bands in Quant Tower. I'll showcase that in some videos later today. All the changes, I've been talking about it since like Thursday, Friday last week. The upgraded bands have already been put out to the Quant Tower group. We'll work on it to get the same changes added to the NT8 side. Now, I don't market or do anything with NT8 going forward. I only service my own group because I'm trying to move everything I'm doing over to Quant Tower. And then we are putting the tools in TickBlaze, and I do have the dual bands getting added to Thinkorswim for a contingency that wants them on Thinkorswim. It's kind of a separate project. But anyhow, today I was watching this level. So we blew through that level. I call that a level sweep. We pressed a bit. And so basically what I'm watching for is I'm watching for rotation of the fast bands when we're outside of the main bands. And do I always wait for the signal line? No, you can. But I have my settings that I like on my NT8 side here watching it when I'm remote sitting at a coffee shop. Well, on a separate screen that I have attached to this laptop, but you can buy these beautiful like 2K or 4K side screens that you plug in through a USB-C, and it's like a 16-inch screen. I think I only paid I don't need a 4K one. I bought a 2K one. Shit, I think I only spent like $299 for it, and that thing's lasted me like 2 years. They're all over on Amazon. I don't even know what the brand is, but they come in a nice foldable cover and all that. Actually, let me get this out of here so we can keep an eye on price a bit. Uh, so then I watch all my other stuff that's running automated when I'm traveling, and I'm going to be wrapping up travel here shortly this morning, but had to go on the road a bit and go see some relatives, helping them with some logistic stuff due to California Fires Fund. What a mess that was, and they're having to relocate or find places to put stuff in storage, and gosh, what a mess. It's like dragging on and on, but I think this week we'll finally have them all settled and set and that distraction turned off so I can go back to my typical schedule. And I have a lot of interactions going on with programmers, and I had a contingency within the iGrid group say, hey, would you be willing to put these tools on the Sierra Charts platform? And I'm like, I guess I could. So let me think about it. And I do know a pretty good Sierra Charts programmer to talk to him. I would do that for the group, not that I would ever go out and market that heavily or at all, possibly. I just do it for the group and call it good to at least get the dual bands and our collection of tools that we have on Quantower onto Sierra Charts for them. So anyhow, let's go over this. So, and I'll pull this over a bit. So we made the push, and I was watching this linear push. And one of the things I kind of pay attention to, just from a visual efficiency standpoint, is when I see price starting to press outside the main bands, and I'm kind of Johnny on the spot. And I can see, it's a pretty hard linear push right out of the open. So what I'm looking for is I'm looking for that linear push that's not uncommon sometimes, either down or up out of a US cash session open. Sometimes we chop around a bit, but at some point we get a linear push up or down. Some people call it like the 15-minute opening range breakout or the 30-minute opening range breakout. At some point, we'll usually, whatever range has been created in the first 15 to 30 minutes, there is some sort of a push out of that range. So in this case, it wasn't surprising to me that we would come up, tag that level, and sweep it out. So we push, and right here I'm watching price starting to break down, and I'm watching for my fast bands. There's the main bands, but I'm watching for the fast bands to start doing what I call a hook pattern. And when they do a hook pattern, I start throwing in liquidity. And I have a certain amount of distance from that initial entry point, kind of a zone of price where I'm willing to work with liquidity while it oscillates, pushes another time or whatever, before it either rotates down or it comes up, and I have a maximum amount of dollar stop that I'm willing to work with. And on a 150K account, I'm just playing with 2 or 3 MNQs, because all I really need on a day is, I'll go for about $700. So today I actually played it light because I was having a little bit of connectivity issues. So I was only in with, I think, 2 MNQs, and we got a pretty decent sell-off. We came back up, we rotated again, and I added in some liquidity, and I took it off. And now I'm just sitting in 2 MNQs as runners. So that's what I do. It's kind of like I'm working the trade dynamically, and I'll work this area, and I would be willing to add back to this trade if we come back outside of the bands, because this is an area from here on up I do expect, resistance. There'll be some resistance at this high we just created a little bit, and there is some resistance above it. So as long as I can stay within my framework of my dollar amount stop I'm willing to risk on a per trade basis, I'm willing to work with the trade. Now, technically, I've been dinging around here. I really should have exited the trade right here, but I wasn't paying attention. And if I see the fast bands go outside the lower band, and then I get a counter signal, if I haven't already gotten out of the trade when the price is bumbling around in here and the fast bands are out, if I get a counter signal, I would have just gone flat. But I just shot another video. I'm up positive. I'm only in 2 MNQs. I'm not sitting here worried that, I'm in a bunch of position size, and if it's for some odd reason, some unscheduled news hits that it rockets away, I'll just blip it out and maybe I'll be back to about flat on the day. And hey, I got to start all over. No biggie. And if I start all over, and if it's pushing, I'm going to have another setup here coming up anyhow. So what I'll do a lot of times is I will cycle inventory in a prescribed area price, working it with small position size until I get to my, 700-ish for 150K count, and then I'll just shut it down for the day when I'm trading in this manual discretionary mode. Or if I'm working it and then we get a press of price or the fast bands outside the lower side of the bands, I will blip that out and then wait for a new setup. So if I'm up $420 when it's down here and I blip it out, then oh well, I got to wait for another setup to take a crack at getting over 700. And I just don't have any problems if I'm trading in this mode on a day-to-day basis, getting to that amount. Now, on a typical day, I would have traded heavier size here for sure. This is like, I love level sweeps and then rotation. I probably would have gotten in with at least a 5 M&Q, and I, for the most part, should have already been done. I would have made a hit here. I would have taken some off. We get the hook and lift. I pull some of that inventory out. We rotate again, throw some back in. We press lower than that pivot. Bands outside, I take it off. I probably would have been sitting high fives in the 600s. So then I'm just kind of sitting here, a lift up and another rotation of both bands. I'll work in a 1 lot or 2 lot, see if I can get over that 700 on any push lower again, and then I'm done. Because in a sense, right now we've made a high pivot. We're stair stepping lower. We made a secondary pivot low and an equal. So, we do have a lower pivot high, and now we have an equal pivot high. If we rotate lower, we're very likely going to come down, test that pivot, either bounce and hold, and they'll press it higher, or we're going to break and get some range extension back deeper into the prior range. And any sort of rotation lower, I could easily get over my 700. So that's one way to trade. I like to trade dynamically. Some people just like to, when they get a signal, they go in and say, okay, I'm throwing on a 7 M&Q, and I'm going to go grab my 700 as fast as I can. I tend to do that more on short trades. On long trades, especially as of late with the massive increase in volatility, which I love. I'm so glad the markets finally got some decent volatility back, because parts of 2003, summer through the end of 2023 and a lot of 2024, those grind up all day long moves when, all the investment banks are getting to play with Fed discount window money. I hated those days. It just grinds and grinds and grinds. We're not getting the nice, beautiful oscillations in price you get in uptrends and downtrends when there's actually good volatility in the market. And we now have volatility in the market for sure. So we moved from a managed market where investment banks for a year and a half played with fake money in the market. Estimates are, by the people that I track, 4.7 to 5 trillion of fake money went in. And then when the new administration came in, the investment banks, from my understanding, were like, hey, get that fake money the hell out of the market. That's helping to contribute to high interest rates and inflation, having a stock market overly inflated with money that's not real. And I like it that if that is really what was going on behind the scenes, and there's been a lot of people on Wall Street, some even in investment banks, leaking some of the stuff out, I'm just glad that we got volatility back. I don't like markets that don't have any volatility. So anyhow, so yeah, I just sit here and I just patiently wait for what I like to target. I like level sweeps. Not surprised it's kind of being hung on to a bit. I know hedge fund side, I was mentioning a video where buyers on Friday. Actually, they were buying on Thursday and Friday. So not surprising they'll come in here and with investment bank side be trying to press and go back a bit into the prior, range that we sold off through to make recent, pullback lows. But yeah, I'm just sitting here working, going to work to get to my 710, then I'll shut it down for the day. But if you have any questions on anything, info@gridalgo.com, and more videos on Quant Tower tools and updates a bit later today.